immigration, the threat from migrants pouring over the border, that defines the Republican Party. And just enough low information voters and, of course, bigots are convinced that there is actually some sort of crisis at the border. Let me make this clear to you. There is no crisis at the border. Yes, the mayor of New York City is blaming the migrants for his budget crisis. There are reports here in New York City that the migrants are going to add $4 billion to New York City's expenses each year. That is a lie. Those numbers don't consider what the migrants add to the economy. More importantly, as I said earlier this week, the Washington Post reported that cities like Pittsburgh, Erie, Pennsylvania, and Dayton, Ohio say, we'll take the migrants. You got migrants? We'll take them. There are hundreds of small to mid-sized cities around this country saying they need the migrants. Topeka, Kansas is offering $15,000 to each migrant who has the proper paperwork. If you've got the proper paperwork and you're a migrant, Topeka, Kansas will pay you $15,000 to move there and get to work. I'm a broken record on this, but America needs the migrants because we have a shortage of workers. And a shortage of workers keeps our economy from growing and threatens the sustainability of our social safety net, because not enough workers means not enough people paying into Medicare and Social Security. The only crisis at the border is an administrative one. Let me repeat this. The only crisis at the border is an administrative one. There has been a surge at the border with nearly 800,000 asylum claims so far this year, and that is a 2/3 increase over 2022. But we need these people. The problem is our immigration courts have a backlog that has tripled since 2017, with nearly 2 million cases still left unresolved. Why 2017? Because that's when Donald Trump tacked on $8 trillion to our national debt by giving tax cuts to the richest 1%. So we cut back processing migrants at the border. The only crisis at the border is how America manages these people. The crisis at the border is we're managing migrants on the cheap. If we hired more immigration judges, more social workers, and administrators, we could process these migrants faster and get them where they're desperately needed. Places like Pittsburgh, Topeka, Kansas, Dayton, Ohio, and Erie, Pennsylvania. This is a crisis of competence and coordination. There's gold at the border. These migrants are gold. We just have to make sure the gold is distributed properly. Instead, we have Texas Governor Greg Abbott putting the migrants on buses and sending them to overcrowded blue cities like New York, Los Angeles, or San Francisco, where the leaders there don't know what to do with the migrants because they don't know what to do with themselves. Abbott is sending migrants to where the homeless are, where it costs $1 million a month to rent a studio apartment. But if Greg Abbott really cared about the migrants or the border, he would put them on buses to the hundreds of cities here in America that need the migrants. But Greg Abbott, like DeSantis flying the migrants to Martha's Vineyard, they're not serious about this issue. They don't take the border. These two hateful bigots don't care about the border or the migrants. The migrants to them are nothing more than political footballs to be tossed around and kicked. And this is where real leadership on the part of Joe Biden and the Democrats is so necessary. Biden, right now, needs to bring to the White House the hundreds, if not thousands, of mayors of small to mid-sized cities who are saying, give me your migrants, give me your poor and huddled masses. We need warm bodies. Please give us these migrants. If you haven't been paying attention, our economy is on fire. The stock market hit a record high on Wednesday, and inflation is almost at 2%, which means non-existent. And we have full employment. We have an unemployment rate that can't go above 4%. No matter how many times the Fed raises interest rates, they can't kick the unemployment rate up past 4%. When unemployment dips below 4%, most economists agree that it's more than our economy can handle. Below 4% is considered inflationary. We're below 4%. We're at full employment. That's what the economists say. 4% is considered full employment. Now, I don't believe that, but if you're from the Austria school, Milton Friedman, Hayek, Chicago, or if you're the Fed chair, Jerome Powell, you believe it. And that's why economists from the Chicago school, if they were honest in their convictions, right now they would be making the argument for taking these migrants in. And if you're a Keynesian, well, more migrants, that means the velocity of money increases exponentially. And that means the government starts collecting more revenue because they're working and paying taxes, which in turn lowers the budget deficit. And a lower budget deficit means less debt. And less debt keeps our dollar strong. And by the way, what I just said is complete bullshit. I don't even know what I said because all economics is bullshit, and you can frame it and mold it and bend it any way you want. That's why Stephen Moore has a career. An argument can be made from both sides of the economic spectrum to welcome these migrants into the country. Because the absolute truth, and this isn't horseshit, the absolute truth is the American economy needs these migrants at the border more than they need us. Let me repeat. The American people need these migrants more than the migrants need us.